military brat time frame. I guess this is the time frame that shaped me more as a young individual, or I should say, my most impressionable years. The years are 1995 through 1998, and the ages are 10 and 13. And the stages of the psychosocial stages are industry and inferiority, and in identity and role confusion. Now, for 1995, I was 10 years old. My parents were in the process of relocating from Ramstein, Germany to Omaha, Nebraska. Now, I was 10 years old, and prior to that, in Germany, they did not fail you or leave you behind if you were not meeting where you needed to be during, I guess, school. So I kind of just showed up, did my pen pal, ate snacks, and that was the gist of what I did for school. Now it affected me once I tried to go back to the States and my parents tried to get me enrolled in some really good schools. I was not at the level that they needed me to be, so I did not get accepted, and that's when it kind of really took a toll on me and made me question pretty much me as a whole. Now, for coping with it, I wrote in my diary a lot, and actually, I found it the other day. And looking back on it, some scary thoughts. Now, you would say that I was depressed at that point in time because I felt like I let my family down. Now, on a micro level, it affected my family because my parents could not get me in the schools that they felt that I deserved to be in because of my grades. So we kind of had to shift where we were living depending on what school I got accepted to. On a macro level, I felt that I was inadequate to deal with society. I felt that I was slow or stupid, however you want to say it. And I know I don't like to use the word stupid very often, but you could see the frustration in my parents because of what had happened, and they felt responsible because they did not catch it early enough to be able to make changes in it. Now, for the identity versus role confusion about the 1998, I was 13 years old. We lived in Nebraska for about 2 or 3 years. I had gotten into schools after I had taken a couple of reading classes. I was at where I needed to be. My mother applied to retire. Now, the biggest thing was we had went from being a two-income household to one-income household, and my parents did not plan accordingly. They didn't realize how much the military had impacted our lives, and my dad had already was in, then got back out, and he was working 2 to 3 jobs. And because they did not plan accordingly, my parents ended up having to file for bankruptcy prior to us moving to North Carolina. And that was the biggest blow that my family has ever taken. It kind of, at that point in time, it tried my parents. Now that me and my brother were older, we could recognize what the arguments were about. It kind of tore our family apart. Now, how I coped with it is I stayed outside. I'd be in my room and listen to music. And just got within inside of me. I learned how to deal with stuff inside of me. I don't know if it was healthy, but I dealt with stuff inside of my head. Now, on a micro and macro level, my parents did not know the resources that were available to them to help them get through this process. And I know a lot in my community, we do not talk about depression. We do not talk about things that are wrong. It is built into us. Whatever happens in this household stays within this household. And my parents were destroyed because, hey, bankruptcy stays on your record for 7 years and you don't have access to a lot of different things. So a lot of the things, like as far as credit cards and how we kind of had to rely on what we had for savings, and that wasn't thought of too much. So it switched to paycheck. So those were my two biggest incidents that happened in my life as far as from 1995 to 1998 that kind of affected my family dynamics and how we interacted as a whole.